Hey guys, UnderCiv here, and with the release of Early Access Civ 7 just a few days away, I just wanted to make a quick video on the approach that Firaxis and all the decision makers behind the release of Civ 7 have taken along the way. This might come across as a bit of a negative video at first with the points that I'm going to be talking about, but I will be making fair arguments for and against the decisions that have been made. The main things I'm going to be talking about in the video are the pre-order bonuses and the sort of a quick discussion on pre-orders in general, the roadmap that they've recently announced just after the release of Civ 7. Going to be talking a bit about multiplayer and the World Summit that they've got planned. And then finally, for all you UnderCiv fans out there, my plans going forward with the channel. So let's get straight into it. So the first thing I'm going to be talking about today is pre-ordering or pre-purchasing games. I remember when this started becoming a thing, it was when physical copies of games were made. Obviously, when you manufacture physical games, there's only going to be a limited supply. So the pre-order bonus back then was you were basically securing your copy of the game, which is fair enough. And then the digital age came around, and then they started adding things like things we see today, DLC included, cosmetics, and then sort of things like figures and physical stuff that you'd get with the pre-order bonus. All this, in my opinion, is a bit of a cash grab, but it is fair enough. You know, people want nice shiny things in game or in real life. They might want to support their favorite developers or games, etc. The biggest issue I have is the early access, and every single company does it. You pre-order the game, you never get this with the standard edition. You always have to pay a bit extra. You get the game 3 days earlier, 5 days earlier, a week before official release. And I feel I speak for everyone here where I say everyone goes for this option, because why wouldn't you want to play your favorite game 3 or 4 days earlier? I personally did go for the early access pre-order because obviously being a streamer, I feel like I'm sort of expected to be streaming as early as I can be. Now, are Firaxis sort of to blame to do this? No, I don't think so, because if every other company is doing it, why wouldn't they? See, I don't think you can really blame Firaxis for doing this. I think it's more of a sort of global issue that needs to be dealt with than pointing the finger at them. So can't really blame them for doing it, even though it obviously is a blatant cash grab that we all fall for. I will say one thing to sort of stick up for this pre-ordering malarkey, though, is that if we all do spend as many hours on Civ 7 as we did on Civ 6, then it is going to be sort of money well spent if you sort of see it as the point of how much you spent per hour playing the game. So yeah, can't really blame them for doing that. We all fall for it anyway, so why wouldn't they? So what are the pre-order bonuses for Civ 7? Now, as of today, which is the 4th of February, there are 3 digital versions of the game and 1 physical version of the game, I guess you could describe it as. The 3 digital ones, as you can see on the screen, are the Standard Edition, the Deluxe Edition, and the Founders Edition. The Standard Edition for me is £59.99. That's just the standard game. You don't get any sort of bonuses with it. The Deluxe Edition, which comes in at £89.99, gives you the early access so you can play on the 6th, the Tecumseh and Chenille. I'm probably butchering that pack, which is 1 new leader and 1 new civ. You get the Cross Worlds of the World collection, which is a DLC with 2 new leaders, 4 new civilizations, 4 wonders, and some cosmetic bonuses, and they say featuring more to be announced later. You also get the deluxe content pack, which is just cosmetic stuff. You get 2 leader personas and 4 profile customizations and an alternate scout skin. And then the Founders Edition comes in at £119.99. And you get all that I've just mentioned, and you also get the Right to Rule DLC, more profile customization. You get a Fog of War skin and a Palace skin. So basically, for 30 extra quid, you're going to get the early access. You're going to get some cosmetic stuff, a couple of new leaders and civs, and a DLC. And then for an extra 60 quid, you're going to get an even more cosmetic stuff and another DLC again. So I feel like with the DLCs, we don't really know the true value of them at the moment, and this is why I have an issue with it, because that could be a really small DLC that doesn't really add much to the game, or it could add a lot to the game. Because we haven't played the game yet, we don't know how much that's going to be worth. So basically, I feel like I'm personally only paying £30 to play the game 5 days early, which is a bit silly, really. Then we move on to the collector's edition, which is the physical pre-order, which comes in at a whopping £274.50, which comes with the founder's edition, plus a passage of time decorative clock, a scout figure, a logo pin, a challenge coin, a civilization postcard pack, a high quality art print, and a yield icon patch set. Now, if you love Civ, I feel like it's fair enough buying this because, it's going to be sort of limited edition, I guess, stuff. Obviously, having something physical is better than digitally pre-ordering something, even though it is very, very pricey. Again, can't really blame Firaxis for doing that. So yeah, they're my sort of thoughts on the pre-orders. Now, moving on to the Civ 7 content roadmap 2025, which on first glance seems like a good idea by Firaxis. They're sort of showing us what we're getting and when and what they're planning on doing in terms of patches and events and when they're releasing the DLC that we're promised, etc. But it just feels like there's a lot going on in such a short amount of time. And I feel like the main reason of that is because there's a lot more DLC planned and they want to make it seem like we're getting, all this sort of DLC content quickly, where in reality it's just it's a way to get that out of the way so you buy some more, if that makes sense. So their plan is at the moment, obviously in February they're releasing the game early access on the 6th for Deluxe and Founders Edition, and then there's a day zero patch, which I don't know, that sort of stuff baffles me. Please enlighten me if I'm just clueless on this whole way of releasing games lately. Global launch on the 11th of February, and then in early March they're already releasing the first part of the Crossroads of the World DLC, which you get in the deluxe edition. There's a major update planned and a natural wonder battle event and a new natural wonder. Then later on in March, it's to release 2 of the DLC, Leader and a Civ again, and more events and natural wonders. So that already, after 1 month, that's the first DLC out of the way. I just feel like give the players a chance to play the game first, and then release the DLC when people have sort of grasped the sort of basics of the game. Then April to September, which is I suppose a much bigger time frame than 1 month, they're planning on releasing the Right to Rule DLC, which you get in the Founders and above at the moment. New events, new challenges, and new updates, and then more to come beyond October. Obviously, October they're probably planning on releasing or announcing new DLC, but yeah, I mean, at first glance, it looks great, but I don't know, it just feels like there's a lot going on. So yeah, that's my opinion on the roadmap. Good and bad points there. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about, and probably the most important to me at least, is going to be multiplayer Civilization 7. And not just multiplayer Civ 7, but just multiplayer Civ in general. There's going to be quite a lot of things that I want to talk about here. YouTube videos versus Twitch streaming, the following that certain creators have, the growth, the potential growth of some channels, and the sort of OGs and the up and coming Civ content creators. But the biggest question for me is going to be, why do Firaxis and why do the powers that may be in regards to multiplayer Civ just completely turn a blind eye towards multiplayer Civ? And I do think I've got a couple of ideas, and I'll probably get to the I will get to the most important ideas last. So what do I mean when I say neglect of Civ multiplayer? Well, there's various reasons really, with the main one being the stability of multiplayer games. Anyone that's ever played multiplayer Civ knows about relobby hell, Firaxis crashes, double loading, hanging on the lobby screen for God knows how long, and with all these combined together, the a good majority of online games probably do end very prematurely due to these issues. And before you guys, you single player guys come out with pitchforks saying, "Oh, it's the mods you use. They're causing the game to crash and blah blah blah." It's not. They're tried. They're tested, and we've made countless tickets to Firaxis, and all they've barely done is acknowledge the issue, and they just literally refuse to fix them and just ignore the problems. And again, it's why, and I'll get to that later. And saying that on a sort of positive note, with the major focus on console and crossplay in Civ 7, we can dream that these issues are either fixed or just won't happen at all. I am a little bit concerned about the 5-player only maps that start in Civ 7 in the early age. I'm hoping that in later updates they're going to be planning on expanding that, because obviously in Civ 6 we're used to playing with 10-man lobbies in free-for-all at least. So yeah, hopefully multiplayer Civ 7 is going to be more stable at least, and things will improve along the way. So another thing that I feel like the developers, I'm going to call them developers. I don't know who behind the scenes, is involved in the multiplayer aspect of Civ. So I'm just going to say developers from now on. But yeah, I'm not sure why the developers also neglect the sheer size of the multiplayer communities. Now, I'm an admin over at CPL, one of the bigger multiplayer communities, so I can literally show you guys the Discord insights quickly. So if we go on here, we can see total membership over time is almost 20,000. If we look at the growth and activation on a monthly level, you can see that we get roughly 1,000 new members per month, and we're keeping almost half of those. Now, if we compare this to the stats of Civilization 6 here, 42,000 active players currently, we could easily say that a quarter, a third, even half of those are going to be multiplayer players. So again, why do they neglect it? Why do they not listen? Why do they turn a blind eye towards multiplayer? And I feel like it annoys me the most because there is an absolutely massive potential and massive market for multiplayer Civ, I believe. Now, I know we've got, the OG YouTube guys like Potato Whiskey, 500,000 subscribers. We've got the Game Mechanic, 15k, Bose with 100k. But we've also got Herson that's only just started making Civ 6 content. He's already got himself 40,000 subscribers. We've got Leech, he's on 20,000. So, yes, the single players, content creators are well established, but there's obviously a market for the multiplayer ones too. And I feel like the skill gap, and this is probably where I'm going to offend some people, between single player and multiplayer is absolutely huge. It is ridiculous. And I don't think that's a skill issue in terms of the single player players that are playing the game, but it's just the single player experience. You beat the game on deity on various different ways, and to be honest, there's not much more you can do beyond that. And a single player Civ stream is probably not very exciting to watch. You know, you watch them re-roll their spawns a bunch of times and you try and get the perfect spawn. They want to do a perfect playthrough, and you know everything has to go really well, otherwise they're going to reload or scum save, that sort of thing. But with multiplayer, it's more exciting. You have to watch the good players play the really bad spawns, the bad players play the good spawns, and you get to see war in sort of real time, backstabs, diplomacy. There's just so many more exciting things in multiplayer Civ than there is single player Civ. And this video here that I'm watching now is just the I don't even know how. Obviously you can hear that I've got no words to explain it, but Liege here is in playing in the Civ Give a couple of years ago. Him and Michael are the multiplayer players in this single player dominated game that they were invited to, and they played a 2v2v2v2v2. Now, as you can see on the stat line here, Liege is crushing it. The only person that's really close to him is Michael, who's also a Civ multiplayer player. And we've also got White and Nerdy. Everyone else is kind of really struggling and falling far behind. And Liege admittedly did, take it easy on these guys because they knew they were single player players. And it's not like he had a god spawn by any means. We can go back here to turn 8 and see that he doesn't have the most room in the world. He doesn't have that many hills, really. Nothing really amazing about the spawn. So I feel like he didn't get any sort of advantage or anything by playing in this lobby. And we can even skip to one point where he's just 999 science, 1490 culture. He's just absolutely way ahead of anyone else in the lobby. And that just shows how much more sort of skill is involved in multiplayer Civ, and how much more interesting it could be to watch. Which leads me on to this Civ World Summit event. Now, this is a 5-player free-for-all game on Civ 7, and as it literally says here, in the spirit of global competition, we're hosting the Civ World Summit, a live Civ 7 multiplayer showdown between 5 prominent members of the Civ community. So, if that's the case, why aren't any of the multiplayer Civ content creators playing in this event? And it's it's no disrespect to any of the players here that are playing in the event, and it's probably quite a level playing field saying that. But if you're trying to showcase multiplayer competitiveness, surely you would invite the experts of that category. And so yeah, we don't have a single one of those guys there, which is just, again, it's a shame, really. And that leads me on to my reasoning as to why do Firaxis neglect multiplayer Civ. And honestly, I think, and this is my opinion, I think it boils down to the fact that to make multiplayer Civ 6 playable, we need 3 mods at least, and that's multiplayer helper, better balanced game, and better balanced maps. And I feel like that is kind of insulting, I suppose, to the developers of the Civ franchise. It's like basically saying, you guys couldn't make a balanced game, so we did it for you. So it doesn't look great for them, I guess. And I think I do sort of genuinely believe that might be the main reason as to why they aren't really sort of willing to go that extra step further with multiplayer Civ. And I really do hope that I'm proven wrong in Civ 7 and it does become way more multiplayer focused. And yeah, so that's pretty much the end of the video, I guess. And the only thing I really want to talk about now is what are my plans for the future for anyone that's a long time subscriber of my channels. And for me, I'm going to give Civ 7 a big go. I'm going to, I know I've said this before, I'm going to make some guides, make some content for Civ 7, put some effort into YouTube. And if that goes well, if I'll carry on, and if it doesn't, I'll probably just keep plodding along like I have done with Civ 6 all this time, but maybe not play as much. So yeah, I think there's a lot of positives and a lot of negatives with Civ 7's release. It is an expensive game to buy, to pre-order. The pre-order bonuses are also expensive. Um, whether that's just sort of the time we're living in, but I do think Firaxis are definitely guilty of milking the old cash cow a little bit. And again, I do hope that they do become a lot more multiplayer focused, but with past experience, I'm not holding my breath. Anyway, I'm babbling on now. I'm going to be streaming Civ 7 as soon as it comes out. Going to be playing some single player, then probably dive into multiplayer pretty quick. Hope you liked the video. Cheers for watching. I'm still trying to improve my editing skills and my YouTube video making skills and whatnot. So if you've got any feedback, please do let me know. Make sure you subscribe. Follow me over on Twitch. All my links are down below. Cheers for watching. Thank you and goodbye.